In the last tutorial I talked about creating a blink code that blinked 3 times fairly fast, and then I had a 2-second delay. The limitation we discovered was that we can't create a function around this. It looks like with this the code here, but all we can really do is we can get to the stage of making something repeat, either a for loop or a while loop, and then that's sort of it. Now what I'd like to do is create a function, and that function will actually be able to create, we can actually change how many times we actually can make something blink. We might be able to change the delay factor as well. So I'm going to create a function to do that. So I have to get out of block code, and I'm just going to then focus on the text code. It doesn't look like here that you can sort of do one. You either have to do one or the other. It doesn't seem like I can edit this, so I have to actually get out of the block code. It says blocks will be destroyed. You're okay with that? And I was going to say yes. Alright, so here we're going to modify this code a bit. The first thing we're going to do is we've got initialized a counter, that's fine, and we've got a for loop here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually grab this whole block of code and I'm going to put it up here. Now remember I said before that this is where we can actually put our function. So I'm going to create a function to control blink rate, blink rate and number of times. First thing we'll do is we'll just create a function. How we create a function, we go void. Then we've got to give the function a meaningful name, so I'm going to say LED blink open bracket, close bracket, curly brace, close curly brace. Now in this blink function, I'm just going to put my loop that I had before, and it should have done this. Well, it didn't. Well, I'm in a bit of trouble now. Oh, we'll have to start from scratch. So we'll have to create the for loop. So for, so I can go counter. Because we've actually told it it's going to be an integer, I don't really have to declare it as an integer here. I can go counter equals 0. I would then say, as long as counter is less than 3, and as long as the other thing I want to be able to control is that the counter is going to increment 1 each time. So there's my conditions of my for loop, and then I'm going to create my loop in here. So you'll notice I've actually got a loop inside of a function. What I want to happen here is I'm going to then say digital write. This is how we get something to work in Arduino. Turn it on. And I'm going to create another integer and another variable in a second. I'm going to say LED, and that's going to go to high, semicolon. I'm going to say delay. We had 200 before. And I'm going to say digital write. This digital write is now, that's going to be LED low, because I'm actually turning it off. And then I'm going to say delay and 200. Now I've made a couple of mistakes here. I need to rectify that. Semicolon after each line of code. So there's my loop. My computer's a bit slow at the moment. Good idea to make sure you've got some form of indentation so you know it's a loop. Now outside of the loop, I'm going to have an additional delay of 2000. See if we got that right. Now, as I said, I need to declare this variable here because but the program won't know what LED is at the moment. So I'm going to say int LED equals 13. That means I don't have to write 13 each time here. So I'll know that I'm actually doing a digital, I'm actually calling it there. And I also have to say pin mode here, it's LED. So in other words, I'm saying that I'm setting up pin 13 as an LED output there. Okay, now the last thing I need to do is I need to call that function. I'll come here and I'll call that function. So it'll loop around, it'll call the function, it'll do all of that, and then it'll loop around again, call the function again. So if I upload and run that and cross our fingers, hopefully it should work. Made a mistake, whatever. Oh, that's a 2 dots instead of a semicolon. Load and run. What's happening this time? Sorry, it seems like you coded some errors preventing us from doing this. Okay, well I'll fix that mistake up. Okay, just make sure that I've got some other things. I'm not sure what happened to the rest of that code. Alright, for some reason it's not allowing me to do that. So I might actually stop this. And it doesn't really tell me. So in function void loop. Okay, so I'll replace that. LED was not declared in this scope, so I've got to actually declare this, and that's what I did. So int LED equals 13. Good, now it's going. So there's a bit of a glitch there. Look, these things are going to happen when you do some programming. So here we go again. Now it's running, but I've made a mistake here because I didn't actually declare this variable, didn't actually declare the loop again. So we're nearly there, so I've actually got to get this function. I thought I had it before. So what I do to call the function, I go LED, got to stop the simulation now. LED underscore blink, open bracket, close bracket. So this is where this section here is very important. This is where I actually define the function. This is where I actually call the function here. So I'm actually defining the function goes in the loop, and here I'm actually calling the function. Let's upload and run now. And here we go, so it does the same thing. It blinks 3 times pretty fast, and then it stops. Alright, now let's have a bit of user control with this. So what I'd like actually to do now, I want to be able to define how many times it should actually turn off and on. That's the first thing I want to do. So I'm going to pass an argument here, and I want to pass this argument here. I'm just going to call it times. I'm going to declare the variable in here. I'm going to say int times. That's all I need to do here. Now, what I'm going to do here is I want to make it 4 times. It's going to go off and on. To do that, I'm just going to replace this here, instead of it being free, that's actually going to be times. So what will happen is if I should put that in the wrong place there, where I've got blink LED, I'm passing 4 there. That 4 gets transferred into that variable here, so it's going to be 4. So then counter equals 0, counter less than times, now times now equals 4, so it should go 4 times. So let's upload and run that now. Good, it did it. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. The other thing I've made a mistake is that delay there. I want it to be off for 2 seconds. It's only off for 200 milliseconds. So let's try this now. It should be working better now. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's off for quite a while. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's actually working. It's a bit glitchy online. It works better with the actual board. So stop the simulation now. So what I've got now is I can control how many times it blinks, and I'm doing that by passing that 4 to this variable called times. Now I'd like to also control the delay, in other words, how quickly it's actually going to flash. So I'm going to create another variable here, and I might just call it rate. Oh, actually I might just call it, I'll just call it rate. Now what I'm going to do now is if I put a comma next to here, and I want to increase this to maybe 400. So now what I'll do is that 400 rate will now equal 400, because it'll be passed that variable, that number there, that integer will be transferred to rate here. So instead of saying delay equals 200, I'm going to say delay equals rate. And I'm going to replace that with rate. What happens now is that it'll delay, that'll be 400, it'll go on for 400, off for 400. So let's upload and run that now. You should see a longer delay. Two, off for 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, then off for 2 seconds. So it's delaying for a longer period of time. So we could keep on going. We could actually we could say how long it's going to be on and off for. That could be something else we could do. We could put different variables here. We could call this on, and we could have another variable called be off. So we could have a lot of control. So let's do that quickly, and I'll stop there. So if I go on now, so that'll say how long it's going to go on for. So I'll say that's on. I'm going to create another variable here. I'm going to say int. This one's going to be off. In other words, how long it's going to be off for. So then if I go here, that's off. And then here I need to then say I want it to be on for 400, and maybe it's only going to be off for 200. So that'll be on for 200 and off, on for 400, sorry, and off for 200. So these 400 gets transferred to on, 200 gets transferred to off. So it's on for 400, off for 200. Then later on we could add some more variables. So we can just keep on going on and on and on and add more functionality to this. So let's upload and run that now and see if that works. So you see now it's actually off only for a few milliseconds, and it stays off between the cycles for quite a while now. We could keep on going. So what I'll stop now. So what we are demonstrating is the ability to pass arguments in a function to control a light. You can control anything like this as well. We just keep on adding more functionality as well. Okay, so as I said, I'll stop there, and that's another thing, how to use functions.